Hi and welcome to Sandwiches, Reviews and Recommendations. In today's video we're going to be talking about the latest MCU film, Shang Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Now, I actually wasn't planning on watching this film at all. It was only by a spontaneous decision that I ended up watching it, but I am glad I watched it. Now, for those who have never heard of this film or don't know much about it and want a small snippet of what it's about essentially a son to a very powerful man who beholds these 10 rings, which have these abilities of not only immortality, helps with amazing fighting abilities and other such powers. He decides to put the 10 rings and his army away after finding love with a woman who's just as powerful as him. They both put their powers aside and go into a real world where they start a family and have Shang as one of the children. Later in life, during his teenage years, Shang decides to flee and go to America to start a new life. Years later, he is tracked down by his dad's army and brought to him. Him and his sister later find out that his dad has been hearing messages and believes his mother is alive and wants to invade a particular place where his mum is being kept hostage. The siblings are unsure of his actions and unsure whether their mother is actually alive, and together decide to stop him from possibly making quite a big mistake. The film has its ups and downs. For me, it had a lot of predictable points where I'd say I could predict what would happen 3 minutes before the actual thing happened. I'm not going to go into specifics of what those things were. I was able to predict certain characters' fates way before the film got to that particular point. I will admit I am wrong with certain characters' fates. The film did throw me through a loop, and as a viewer I did enjoy that. The way we, the audience, find out about Shang having these amazing fighting abilities, to me came off a bit cliche and stereotyped, but the fight scenes which took place were very interesting and choreographed very well. The film is very funny, but is able to blend seriousness within the film, and not one of both seriousness or comedy ever overshadow each other, which is something I really enjoyed seeing. Admittedly, the first half of the film was it was my least favourite part, as it had all these cliches and stereotypes and predictabilities, and it got to a point where I was actually getting sleepy from this. But as more as it got to the second half of the film, I was really intrigued. The characters were being more fleshed out, specifically Shang, and he was becoming more than one-dimensional. And it was actually really interesting. The humour was getting better. Not only that, the fight scenes and the plot was really become more interesting, and the deeper it got, the more hooked I became on the film. Overall, I'd give this film a 7.5 out of 10. And I do recommend it. I hope you go watch it. MCU's actually getting a bit better from the last film I saw. If I had to recommend films, I would recommend Avatar: The Last Airbender TV show, as it did give off that quite vibe. If you watch the film, you see dragons and shit. I also got Lord of the Rings vibes from it, with the forests moving in a certain way and the beautiful setting that we get to see in the later half of the film. That'll be it. Do enjoy.